watching rptv, and my name is Jabin Hawk. Today, we bring you coverage from the most recent TCHC Tenant Services Committee meeting, TSC, held on April 15, 2025. The Tenant Service Committee of the Toronto Community Housing Corporation, TCHC, is a subcommittee of the TCHC Board of Directors that focuses on issues directly affecting tenants. It provides oversight and guidance on materials like tenant engagement, community safety, and service delivery, ensuring tenant voices inform policies and programs. This particular meeting features Miguel Avila-Valarde, a TCHC resident, a longtime advocate for tenant rights, the rights of marginalized communities, and Indigenous issues. Living in 220 Oak Street, a 27-story high-rise apartment building in Toronto, operated by the Toronto Community Housing Corporation, TCHC, completed in 1972, it houses approximately 469 units and is located on the eastern edge of Regent Park. Though it was not originally included in the Border Regent Park Revitalization Initiative, over the years, Miguel has been witness to much of the associated fragility of the building shaped by institutional neglect and bureaucratic malice. Despite the precocity of living at 220 Oak Street, Miguel has been able to see beyond these limitations and follow his passion for a more equitable, inclusive, and compassionate society. In particular, Miguel has taken on the roles of activist, championing the rights of those living in social housing by becoming a spokesperson at City Hall, at residents' meetings, and TCHC Tenant Services Committee meeting. In the TCHC Tenant Service Committee meeting, TSC, held on April 15, 2025, Miguel made no less than 8 deputations on issues that range from TCHC Tenant Service Committee to the Community Annual Safety Report by the Toronto Police Service, TPS. In his first deputation to committee, Miguel addresses the issue of e-bikes. E-bikes are now woven into the fabric urban life, including the lives of residents of Toronto's community housing.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm John Campbell. It's the Tenant Services Committee meeting. We have Mr. Miguel here. Miguel, we're going to talk about the TSC work plan.
You have a presentation. Go ahead and just set up.
No, we don't. We do not have a presentation on that item. So you have some comments to make on the work plan?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I mean, yes, I do. I had some suggestions to make.
Okay.
I'm just loading out my computer, sir. Sorry, it was taking a long time in the screening table. So I'm almost there. I think that in 2019, we were discussing an e-bike policy for tenants of Toronto community housing. I submitted my written deputation to the board. The committee secretary, and what I said is that we need an e-bike policy. I wish I can show you the pictures of my deputation. In last week, we were in the news, my building, and a resident's e-bike battery caught fire on the 15th floor. Sorry, on the 11th floor. And this fire was because a faulty battery that was overcharged, I don't know. So we have had several incidents with faulty batteries. I want to remind you that the TTC currently do not allow e-bikes and mopeds or anything that during the winter times. Why? Because there is a video, if you've seen it, explosion of e-bike battery inside a subway car, and there was no tragedies. So far, there is no human losses because of the result of e-bike batteries exploding inside the units. So I think we need to have the e-bike policy included in the TSC work plan because we cannot delay the impossible. I mean, sooner or later, we have to face it. And the reality will come in the way that in the news will say someone died in that unit because the e-bike battery exploded. And then, lawyers will come to you saying, you got to do something about this, So right now, you have a golden opportunity. And I keep reminding this, you need an e-bike policy. So it is my hope that this plan can be added on. We had discussions about surrounding the e-bike policy, and I hope it is included. What else I was going to say about the plan? I was going to speak together with another item in relation to the fires in that there is no data enough that says the fires were caused by e-bike faulty batteries. We got a long list of fire classifications, but nothing in particular to e-bike fires. So I think we should be including. And I think that's my deputation for now. I have more to speak.
Okay, that's good. Yes, we have a list of items that you want to speak on, and under the Chief Operating Officer's operational review, I also have a question in regard to fire safety, so we can talk about that at that time. Any questions from members of the committee of Miguel?
John, if I may, it's Debbie. Miguel, will you remind us, I do remember your deputation around the e-bike batteries in 2019. Will you remind us what your policy recommendation was, please?
She's asking you what your policy recommendation was.
I have a long list of recommendations I submitted. I wish I could, I want to put it up there. It was a collaboration between 250 Davenport Road, the residents of 250 Davenport Road, the residents of 220 Oak Street, who combined ideas and put together a very intelligent list of recommendations in regards to an e-bike policy. So I'm willing to share it with you guys, but at this moment, I'm trying to find my deputation somewhere in my laptop.
I appreciate that, Miguel. Thank you for the reminder.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Miguel. We'll follow up with some questions of staff, okay? And yes.
So through the chair, I'm happy to comment about an update on our e-bag policy. So we're actively working to develop an e-bag policy. We're hoping to come out to tenants in May or June to conduct consultations. So there are quite a few tenants who are interested in an e-bike ban. We also have tenants on the other side of the argument who require an e-bike to move within the city. And so we're trying to have a tempered and measured response. And so we're hopeful to bring a policy back to Tenant Services Committee before the end of the year. We're aiming for Q4. So we are working, we have an active staff working group on an e-bag policy, and we'll be reaching out to tenants, including Miguel, over the upcoming months to get that sorted.
Are e-bikes brought into the buildings, into the residence units?
Yeah. Through the chair, yes, we do have situations where tenants do keep their e-bikes in their units. We also have other situations where they keep it in the bike storage area within the building. So it depends on the individual situations.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions of staff on this? No?
No, that's very good to know, Nadia. Thank you for the update.
The second deputation focused on Toronto Community Housing, which has since 2000 maintained the Community Safety Units, CSU, part of the Community Safety Advisory Committee, CSAC. The CSU is a specially trained unit that patrols TCHC properties and responds to non-emergency matters, mental health crisis, parking violations, and incidents of antisocial behavior.
Next item. Dissolution of the CSAC, Community Safety Advisory Committee. And Miguel, we have you down as, did you still want to speak on this? Okay.
The only question I have with regards to CSU review is that if they have.
Sorry, it's not the CSU review. The topic here is the dissolution of the Community Safety Advisory Committee.
That's correct.
Yeah.
We are talking about that. In the document, it says that in the future, you guys will be presented with a review report that was already completed with the City of Toronto.
Right.
I have made my own submissions to the consultant group, and I never heard back from Sean, so I hope he made some logical what I tried to explain. For instance, when it comes to noises at nighttime between 11 and 7 p.m., your CSU officers don't have the proper equipment to investigate complex noise, intermittent noises that happen during the nighttime. So that is one of the recommendations I have made, and hopefully I continue the conversation to improve the community safety unit. It's been a long and painful experience, and I can tell you something in confidence that some of the CSC officers, when it comes to investigating that type of complex noises, they said, why don't we send it over to 311 service to investigate? The 311 service does have the proper tools for investigation. So that is all I had to say about the dissolution of the CSAC, item 8.
Thank you. Okay. Any questions of the deputant or on the item? No questions? Okay, so I need a motion to approve the recommendation that the committee be wound up.
His third deputation dealt with tenant insurance, which for the majority of TCHC tenants may be a financial burden they cannot take on. But Miguel argued that nonetheless, tenants insurance should be a priority for TCHC residents. Miguel's deputation encouraged further discussions from the board, such as one board member wondering if the TCHC would provide a built-in contents insurance for tenants.
Next item is tenant insurance. This is item 9. And we have a couple of deputations. We have Catherine. Good morning, Catherine Wilkinson.
Good morning, Chair Campbell. How are you today?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, nice to see everybody.
All bright and sunny there.
Yeah. So I do have some feedback on tenant insurance. We know the majority of our tenants cannot afford tenant insurance, even if someone else paid the premiums for them. Tenants would not be in a position to pay the deductible in the event of a claim. And so that's our reality. A tenant may choose to get insurance where they can afford it, and tenant insurance is not mandatory in Ontario. Private landlords may choose not to rent to tenants without tenant insurance. Social housing landlords do not have that option. Staff did speak to tenants on the TAC and the TCATs on suggestions to improve participation after their communications materials were produced. These materials, intended specifically for tenants, were produced with no tenant input. I don't understand why this keeps happening, why I have to keep coming back to this table to remind management of their obligations outlined in the shareholders' direction to consult with tenants. You have the poster only before you. the brochure and the website materials may mislead tenants into believing they must get tenant insurance. And this is quite concerning, particularly where English is a second language. Tenants may be intimidated into believing they will lose their housing if they don't get insurance. We know an existing Toronto community housing tenant will not be evicted if they do not have tenant insurance. That is important information for tenants to know to make an informed decision, yet it is not included in the communications materials. This is a great disservice to tenants. Tenants should be aware they have the right to choose. The other area I wanted to talk about was when accidents happen, sometimes contractors may damage a tenant's personal property while working in their unit. Tenants follow the established Toronto Housing claims process. Toronto Housing then passes the claim on to the contractor to investigate and respond to the tenant directly. Currently, where a contractor damages personal property belonging to a tenant, it becomes the tenant's responsibility to negotiate a settlement with the contractor. Why do tenants have to take on the contractors? They didn't hire them, and this is unacceptable. I believe the contractors have around $5 million in liability insurance. There should be one simple rule. You break it, you replace it. I have two recommendations. One, consult with tenants on revising the existing tenant insurance materials and the creation of new ones. Ensure the language includes the tenant's right to choose and informs tenants they will not lose their housing if they do not have insurance. The second recommendation is to review the claims process where contractors damage tenants' personal property. Managing these claims should be Toronto Community Housing's responsibility, not the tenants, and I would urge you to establish timelines for resolution of these claims with contractors. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Any questions of the deputant? Nope, seeing none.
None of the deputant, but I do have a question of staff around the
We'll come to that.
Condition.
Debbie, we'll come to that after the deputants are finished. We'll ask questions of directors of staff. Miguel, you had a deputation on this as well, please?
Yes, I do. I agree with the points that Catherine has said, and I'm not going to repeat most of them, but tenant insurance is so important these days. How about this proposal that the new move-ins to that comes to lead to 20 Oak, as an example, could sign up to get tenant insurance? I'm telling you that this practice is done in York Region. My girlfriend lives in York Region, and she's aware that when you move into a social housing unit in York Region, you must bring in your certificate of tenant insurance. So why cannot do this as a pilot project because of the high number of fires that we have experienced? And if you can see in the chart, that's the chart I was talking about. The number of fire reported and the CSU report to the board, or the GPS board coming up. So we don't have a specific line for e-bike batteries. In regards the previous question of one of the members asked me, have you submitted your ideas about the e-bike rules? I have the e-bike rules over there. Like I said, it's a combination of 250 Davenport Road and 220 Oak Street, and it's the basic line to build up if you want to improve it, and I'm willing to cooperate, to provide my ongoing feedback, because we need to save lives. And again, continue the education of our all members, all residents, so that they perhaps, they start to understand how important it is to have insurance. I want to point it out that we have e-bike lockers, as you can see in the pictures, and it says right there, no storage of personal contents. And right now, somebody is using that space for contents and personal use. And I saw some tires, car tires, and that shouldn't be there. Also, what is really shocking is to see these keyless padlocks in tenants' units. You can see on the picture right there. That is a big no-no.
So this is
That is a big no-no.
you're straying a bit from tenant insurance,
Well,
Miguel.
I'm talking about also that they put themselves in trouble, because how is it possible the fire department will know the code to get in? You understand the problem here?
They have ways
Anyway.
they have ways and means of getting into a unit.
I don't, what's next? Tell us lens cameras? I don't know. Anyway,
Okay, thank
that's
you.
my 2 cents, guys.
Okay. Any questions of the deputant? Nope.
In his next deputation, Miguel takes up the issue of tenant engagement, which for him is a very personal issue, because since 2011, Miguel has been involved with his community in the capacity as tenant leader, and he has been trained as a peer supporter, and then in 2024, he was terminated. He can't understand why, after giving 15 years of his life to engaging with tenants to build capacity.
So we're going to move on to the tenant engagement system, Miguel. 12B, item 12B we're on.
Yes. Oops. Oops. Through the 14 and 15 years, I have attended several tenant engagements. We had tried to reinvent the wheel time and time again, trying to find the best way to engage our tenants. Back in 2010, we have a social development funding plan that allow agencies to come to the board and say, well, we're going to help your tenants to build capacity. And one of the examples was through the Voices from the Street. My diploma is plastered on the screens, by the way, if you can see it. So I was given the authority as a tenant leader, not a tenant rep, but a tenant leader. So you guys paid that agency $25,000 back in 2011. I was also trained as a peer supporter. Anyway, what I'm trying to say here is very little. I have given 14 years of my life to the building, and last year I was terminated, fired. I was, I was told, you're not welcome here anymore as a tenant rep. But anyway, I thought I'll let you know that you guys invested in me, but now you want to let me go. That's fine. Thank you.
The fifth deputation centers on the Violence Reduction Program. Miguel, a resident of 220 Oak Street, a TCHC building located on the edge of the Regent Park, speaks from his own lived experience. He suggests that acts of violence occur because there is a lack of investment from the TCH in infrastructure, which leads to frustration on the tenants, who then resort acts of violence and vandalism.
I know, then we're going to move on to the Violence Reduction Program, fourth quarter update, and I have Miguel with a deputation, two deputations. Almost, but that's okay.
Thank you for asking that question about the fire. Thank you, John.
I said I would do it.
Everybody. Debbie, thank you for asking questions too. It makes my attendance to this board worth it to come. So, violence reduction. I'll give you a good example of violence. We normally, our elevators break down due to the abusive treatment of some residents and some contractors as well. So, this leads to we have 4 elevators, and then we are down to 2, 3 are out, and sometimes we are only with 1 elevator for 484 units, 28 floors. So tenants get upset, of course, obviously, to see bikes and e-bikes going in the one single elevator. I witnessed, yes, the other day, they were pulling the man out of the elevator because he brought in his e-bike or moped. My friends, this has a solution to reduce this type of violence, because we are not addressing the lack of infrastructure investment on developing more e-bikes, enclosures, and bikes as well. So I know you're doing a great deal of work in the community. I appreciate Alan Britton for coming back with regards the need for to improve the security in the gym room at 220 Oak Street. The gym was recently refurbished 2 years ago. The corporation paid a huge amount of money, but we have been victims of stolen items in the gym. So what the women that attend the gym alone have requested CCTV camera, a fob access to improve the safety of the women attending the gym room. So that will be greatly appreciated if we can have a meeting to discuss, as you put it in your email, through the crime prevention, through the environmental design lens to determine any camera and fob requirements. Which is good. I hope this will happen soon, because the safety of the women attending the gym is important. I will not let my daughter be alone in there, because anything can happen. So let's improve safety and reduce violence. Thank you.
Thank you.
In his sixth deputation focused on tenant transfer policy, Miguel once more underlines the multiple ways in which living 220 Oak Street is complicated by both the personal dimension and environmental conditions. Miguel used his own experience as test case to underscore the urgency of that some tenants may face with regards to needing to be transferred to another building, how difficult that could become due to delays and complications, likely caused by administrative red tape and institutional protocols.
And the next item, which is Rapid Rehousing Program, Community Impact Assessment Update, and we have a deputation from Miguel.
All right. With regards to this item, all I can tell you what I have experienced. We want to do good to rapid housing in individuals who are in need of housing. Perfect. I like the notion of housing everybody, but you have to be selective, in my opinion, especially when you're dealing with old residents. I'm a 60-year-old young resident now, and I have experienced noises coming from the unit above and below me. Those residents are awake during the night. I am a person who has a routine and go to sleep at 10 p.m. And the bottom of the stairs is my bedroom right now. This is where I sleep, because I can't find no place to sleep at night. So I have requested to be transferred, but that request has been denied twice. So the only thing I can do is soundproof the unit. I have ideas how to soundproof the unit. There is a company that is Canadian that uses a special material that they can go on the ceiling. There's also soundproofing of the floors.
Miguel, this is not on topic, because the topic is about rapid rehousing and taking people out of the shelter system and finding them housing in TCHC units. So
yes, John, I totally understand. The topic is how well or how improvements we need to do with this program. Mm-hmm. I have seen a lot of young residents out of the street coming in the building, but it seems that the service agency, they're supposed to be supporting them for 12 months, is my understanding. Sometimes the relationships break down. So they need wraparound support. If you're going to bring an outsider into the building, please ensure that they don't fall to the cracks. We want to have successful tenancies, a positive tenant experience, good quality homes. But right now, what we're having is sort of a vibrant community, but at nighttime, between 11 and 7 a.m., the old people are affected by noises. So how we deal with this problem? I can't transfer. I'm proposing some proofing of the unit, or I don't know, be selective who you bring in, not so that the old residents don't get affected by all other people's behaviors, and they turn into unsocial behavior, and some of them, they lose their tenancy because they turn their homes into drug dens, to be honest. I've seen it. So good luck. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the deputy?
In his 7th deputation on the Community Safety Final Report, Miguel highlights persistent noise issues in TCHC managed buildings, sharing how he was forced to sleep in a basement stairwell to escape the disturbance. He calls for noise monitoring systems to better enforce guidelines and questions current policy based on his experience. Miguel closes by noticing that CSU response numbers represent only a fraction of reported incidents.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the next item, which is the Community Safety Unit 2024 Annual Report to Toronto Police Services, and I have a deputation.
Well, that was interesting conversation about the rapid housing program. Wow. I hope you providing 24-hour support. Thank you. Right. Where were we? Community Safety Unit 2024 Annual Report to Toronto Police Services Board. In last January 17, I attended the Toronto Police Services Board meeting, and I showed them an interesting video to the board in relation to intermittent loud noises and ways to deal with it by using technology, a recording device that can be set in the unit and measure the number of decibels that happens in the unit. Board members were very impressed and asked a lot of questions to the chief, to members attending the board, and most of them will seem to be inclined that perhaps it's time for the CSU to be equipped with the proper tools for measuring levels of high decibels in units during the nighttime between 11 and 7 a.m. I showed in the video, and I've been in touch with No More Noise Toronto, who have also provided me with a test equipment that I put it in my unit, and I was able to measure. I'm sad to report that some of the noise levels reach up to 100 decibels in the middle of the night. It can harm anybody. It can break down the health of anybody. Currently, I can't hear well from my 2 ears. So I made this recommendation to the Police Services Board because they were talking about what we just heard about the regularization of members of the CSU to work as constables. Anyway, what I'd like to focus is in regards proper equipment to the CSU officers. If that is not the desire of the Community Safety Division, perhaps they could pass information to the 311. In regards discipline, complaints against CSU officers, the public complaints, it shows that there were 16 complaints, and only one was resolved, and the other ones were deemed resolved, maybe because there was lack of video. I have been an advocate for body-worn cameras to ensure accountability, to ensure transparency, to ensure that the officers are held to the maximum of responsibility for the work they perform as sworn officers. And I hope you take that under advice, that body-worn cameras enhances the reputation of the unit, because whatever they said or we say against them, it can be proved through the video. I'm still waiting to hear back from the dispatcher manager, because I have an experience with a dispatcher who got a bit upset because I requested, why don't you send a CSU officer to the unit that was making noises through the night? Maybe that person needs a wellness check. In the public minutes on November 18, bullet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it says CSU has the authority to conduct arrests on TCHC properties, wellness checks, and enforce trespass orders on TCHC properties. So there is an obligation for sending out CSU officers to conduct wellness check. It shouldn't be a problem if the public requests it and not to get upset. So hopefully I will get my time to speak to the general manager, to the manager or the dispatchers to talk about why some behaviors are accepted. Thank you.
Thank you.
In his final deputation, Miguel raised the issue of tenants seeking relocation.
Last month at City Council, there was a motion made by Councilor Lily Chang that nailed the problem right on with a very smart solution. EC 18.5. She recommended to the CEO the implementation of a smart app that can provide with information to tenants who wants to know updates on the work orders, maintenance, push notification, important announcement, updates. Maybe it can be included. Where are you in the queue line to be transferred out or in? Maybe you can put those updates in the smart application and give proper importance to the recommendation from Councilor Lily Chang, which is a smart idea. Very smart idea to implement this, because everybody's, has these devices, and instead of, sometimes we don't have access to a computer. So please consider this motion from Councilor Lily Chen and improve the way we communicate and enhance our tenant transfers, information, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it, guys. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Miguel.
And there you have it, a powerful example of grassroots civic engagement in action. At the April 15 TCHC Tenant Services Committee meeting, Miguel Avila-Valarde made no less than 8 deputations, fearlessly raising issues from tenant safety and violence reduction to e-bikes, insurance, and the urgent need for fair transfer policies. Often the lone voice speaking out, Miguel continues to advocate for his community at 220 Oak Street and beyond, using his lived experience to challenge policy, question neglect, and demand better for all TCHC tenants. His tireless commitment reminds us that lasting change begins with people willing to speak up, even when the odds are stacked against them.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please follow us on all our social medias, and for more information, please visit our website.